Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2, the AlphaX Brawlers Club, where we're gonna get down and dirty with two of the scrappiest players in StarCraft 2 history. Needs no introduction, but I'd love to introduce him anyways. In the top right, the GSL Super Tournament champion. The man who makes it unclear whether he has a plan but succeeds anyways. Of course, it's Dragon, Phoenix Gaming's very own Zest. I have no idea what we'll see, but I'm so happy to watch. And of course, on the other side, returning from the military and finding increasing levels of success, but has yet to match that of his opponent. Maybe another step on the ladder here in this best of 5. Storm Gaming's unique Terran player. It is, of course, GuMiho, who just, he misplaced his command center and replaced it, making sure the probe had no chance. Not a great start, but one of the few players who will break out the mech builds in a day and age almost entirely dominated by bio. Now, against Protoss, you gotta have someone. And right now, as he very often has, GuMiho carrying the torch. We see some mech against Zerg, some against Terran, rarely in StarCraft 2 history against Protoss. It's just too hard to get the critical mass of units you need when there are so many incredibly cost-efficient Protoss ones, like Charge Lots, Archons. You just need so many tanks. Or War Liberators, really. We'll have to see, though. I'm not ruling it out. I'm just putting it out there. So that way when we do see it, you understand how exciting it is. But I don't know if we'll see any in this series, to be honest. Especially with the way Zest plays. If there is a player out there, I'm describing... So, quick early gate timings being the largest weakness of mech. Zest totally isn't known for quick early gate timings. Or anything of that nature, of course. Oh my god, the SCV actually got back in. On the other side, a Marine. Okay, so there are 2 Adepts. The Adepts are shading away, running from the Cyclone, as 1 Marine, Big Gabe over here, will get sliced up by the 3rd Adept. He didn't get up to the high ground, but 3 Adepts is about as much of a tell as you're gonna get. GuMiho is waiting. He knows that an Oracle is on the way, and by knows, I mean he has a very good idea, as 3 Adepts are almost as big of a tell as you can get without actually telling him what you're doing. You go for the Adepts to try to whittle down the anti-air and minimize your gas usage. So that way the Oracle, of course, can come out in a timely manner, and it looks like it's going to be timely enough. GuMiho, he has two Cyclones if he can just lock on. Will he use a scan? Does he have one? He does. Either he doesn't or he chooses not to. He chose not to there. Not going to be able to kill the Oracle, but drives it away, and in typical Zest fashion, with 3 Adepts and nothing else at home, he will take a 3rd. And, well, Cyclone knocks down the Oracle. Good start for GuMiho. It's about as good as it's going to get here. He's got 3 racks in the main. There's a glaring lack of a starport. Let's see, how much is Zesting? Zest has seen enough to be pretty confident this is bio. They're not 100%. There's still no starport here, very interestingly. Usually you'd want to follow up one of these pushes with obviously medevacs, but GuMiho's going, okay, so while it's not mech, it's about as close, it's a bio-curious build here, as we have a lot of Marines and Marauders, but without the medevacs, the tanks are actually the staple of this push. They're the backbone to force the Protoss into taking a less than great engagement. Zest, I think, is starting to understand what's coming towards him. Oh, wait. some tactic boys. So, a high-pressure tank push. Not all in, but a single Oracle may tilt the scales here. As Zest is out in the middle of the map, he spots this. Adept Shades, you want to be careful with those who'll actually get behind this and cut off reinforcements. But that is not remotely close to enough Stalkers to deal with this. GuMiho may have found the decisive timing. Zest greedy third. Oh, with a few SCVs to repair as well. Shield battery overcharge might help. But the shield battery is vulnerable to the tanks, and GuMiho, 2 tanks, a few SCVs to keep them in repair. The Adepts are still cutting off reinforcement. Not usually great. The amount of units here, well, the Adept Shade on top of the Blink Stalker. Zest trying to pull the rug out from under him. 9 SCVs have died to an Oracle, and counting. Zest is running around these units. The tanks are gone. 9 SCVs are gone. The Oracle's intact. It still has energy. How has he done it? He had half the units, he had less army supply, and suddenly Zest is ahead. GuMiho had the decisive timing attack, but a Void Ray comes out, just kind of saunters in. Once again, the bait and switch. He sacrifices, or seemingly sacrifices, a Void Ray in order to buy just that tiny bit of space to blink in. A couple badly bruised SCVs make it home. And GuMiho will have to tuck his tail between his proverbial legs and back off. I don't know how he does it. Like, Zest, I say this, he's like 95% skill, 5% luck, and 100% reason to remember the name. But that 5% luck, it's 95% right place, right time. But things just go right for him. Like, 3 Adepts shading into the middle of the map? Like, he just has this, it's going to work out for me confidence. I used to say for players like MC and Parting, their specialty is winning. Don't ask how, don't try to replicate it. They just know how to win. And it is this killer instinct that I cannot explain nor somehow replicate in my games. And he's done it again. GuMiho, on paper, had everything. Like, I don't know how you could have put together a better timing attack. He had a quick tank push against a small mass of Stalkers. Stalkers that didn't... I guess they did have Blink done, but he had Marauder tank push against Stalkers. Against 3 bases. I'm talking like the game's over, because it kind of is. In my opinion, I'm looking at the production tab. Zest has thrown games from this position before as well. That killer instinct cuts both ways sometimes. Like, he doesn't need to be out here attacking with his Stalkers. He doesn't. All he needs to do is have enough units to crush this push. Where are the boys? Here are the boys! They're on the way! Everything on the table. GuMiho knows he's got 1 shot. He's got 1 opportunity. But will he even have a chance to capture it? Oh, the flank of the charge lots. There's a single sentry. All right. The boys caught between a rock and a hard place. Zest. Once again, more than a dozen charge lots cutting off reinforcements. GuMiho decides to go. The charge lots get a little distracted with their job. The army supplies are not in favor of GuMiho here. He doesn't have any upgrades, neither does Zest, but the charge lot's closing in. Shield battery overcharged the blink. GuMiho taps out before we even get close to the conclusion of the fight, because he reads the writing on the wall and sees the supplies plummet. Another just immaculate game out of Zest. I don't get it. I wish I knew. But GuMiho's... So why was the tank push so good? And why do I think you, in your few games, should replicate that? Because what is the most vulnerable timing against a Protoss who's taking a third and going for blink? It's when pretty much all their units are just blink stalkers. They don't have that many gateways. It was a perfect timing. but not perfect enough. Zest takes it. I'm Game 2! Thank you. I don't want to spend this entire series fawning over Zest. He has to do his trademark, well, I mean, Super Tournament Finals spoilers, even though I already kind of spoiled it. It's been a bit now, but every series was, I don't know why I'm apologizing or not expecting it anymore, but every series with Zest, especially recently, I feel like he's like the protagonist in a Disney movie. No matter what he does, he's going to end up succeeding. Because Zest, for those who don't know, and now this is incredibly unfortunate, but he is right on the edge of his obligatory military service in South Korea, and that's what a lot of players like GuMiho already served his. And he's come back, and he's finding success, but he's struggling to replicate the level that he... Why are you sending 2 probes, Zest? Oh my god. Okay, I gotta be quick on this explanation. Anyways, so it wasn't even clear whether Zest would be playing this year. Like, we weren't 100% sure if Zest was even gonna play in IM Katowice, the World Championship. But instead, he's decided to just win everything. So... It almost feels like other players... Now, they're not, obviously. But the way Zest plays makes it feel like sometimes he's trying to lose or other players are letting him win. And that is not what's happening. It's just he's such a polarizing... His strategies are so polarizing. There's no choice for them to go horribly wrong or horribly right. He doesn't play... He's not a Showtime. He's not a Stats. Like, he's proxying a Twilight Council, which just got scouted. So, like, we're over here. I could talk all day about Zest, which is amazing, because it's my job. Like and subscribe. So, there's a proxied Twilight Council. Upgrading Blink... It got scouted. I'm pretty sure Zest realizes it got scouted because the pylon can see the SCV as well as the SCV can see the pylon. GuMiho's sending... Well, this is going to get weird. Zest has proxied another pylon. That is obviously where his Dark Shrine is going to go. So there's one Adept, which can technically kill 3 Marines. Remember, everyone's on one base right here. So this has already gone so many different directions of sideways. A Stalker... Yeah, GuMiho was a little optimistic with 3 Marines to kill that. But a single Hellion, he cancels the engineering base. Single Hellion! Oh my, wait, is Zest gonna lose the game to 1 Hellion? Hasn't gotten much yet. Yeah, there's a... Okay. That 1 probe is actually doing a surprising amount. This Hellion could have killed a dozen probes. I mean, maybe not quite, but... I feel like that was almost too much micro. He only managed to get 3 probes for an undefended main, which... Well, here we... Okay. So Zest is now warping in... He's doing 4-gate Blink Stalker on 1 base with a Twilight and another gate out on the map. The other gate, the effectively forward gate for warping in. Zest doesn't like robotics facilities. We saw that in the GSL Super Tournament. He will only build a robo if it is completely necessary. Or he's going way over the top. We see a robo here. I think he's a bit afraid of Armory Widowmines. And getting a Warp Prism is obviously a pretty important piece of the... Okay, GuMiho going to pick up 4 Marines. 4 Marine drop. Scans the main. Sees Stalkers and a Robo there. So, should be landing the command center soon. Those Stalkers can get across the map pretty quick. Yeah, I don't know where this leaves us. This is one of the weirdest starts to a game. Because Zest essentially did a 2-base Blink build with 1 base and also a proxy Twilight. Oh my god. He knows there's another pylon, but... What? I'm doing a bit of a proxy war here, as... the Stalkers come out. Zest is expanding. GuMiho finally finds the confidence to land. He brings the medevac of Marines back home. A little bit afraid of DTs. Yeah, who goes proxy Twilight and just makes Blink? Who does that? But Adept finishes. He's gonna let the tank help. Sets the Adept in the mineral line to use the tank fire. Kills 2 SCVs. But Zest is still down several workers because GuMiho's been working off 2 command centers for a while. Okay, hallucinated Phoenix. Hallucinated. I feel like I'm hallucinating in these games sometimes. Another hallucinated Phoenix. He's thinking about high ground. And of course, there's the Dark Shrine. Where does he put it? Just in the main. GuMiho snaps up another 8 Marines. He might go for the Twilight. I wonder how many Twilight Councils we'll see this game. Well, boosts out the medevac. GuMiho playing very timid here, but can you really blame him? It looks like he's gonna... I don't think he can snipe it from the low ground. Charge has begun on the Twilight. Stim is about to finish, so that pylon will die pretty quick. Unless the Blink Stalkers just happen to be in the right spot. And this is the 5% luck that... he's just always in the right spot. I don't know how he does it. A lot of it is just being very good and instinct, but things just go right. Oh, he's trying to out-micro this. Oh, he does it! Oh, and now that combat shield is done, he can't force shot as easily. Yeah, the medevac can snap him up. Zest has 2 Immortals. 1 is spotted by the scan. Shield batteries on the way. 3 DTs warped in on the other side of the map. All right, buckle up. Here we go. The Immortals are going to help, but with 3 tanks on the backline, Stim, Combat Shield, and medevacs. This is an army not easily broken. The tanks are just shelling the Immortals. The Immortals, there's no shield batteries, Zest. DTs are slaughtering SCVs. Here we go again. How does this keep happening? SCV count dips. Shield battery overcharged. Battery gone. That is one way to stop it. 13 SCVs have died, but the tank push is closing in. There's not that much at home to defend. And with no shield batteries, these units are just not that cost effective. Charge is not done. 4 more gates in the main. Possibly too little and almost certainly too late. The DTs are going for the orbital, but the DTs aren't going to solve the problem. GuMiho wins. This tank push did more than enough. Zest on 2 base vulnerable to it, as apparently you can't go Blink and then DTs and then charge with almost no units, while the Terran is still building up tanks. So this time, it just doesn't work out. GuMiho, I bet GuMiho's a little surprised as well, because he just walked up and killed him. Maybe his special powers are in the 3rd base. I don't know. But Zest kind of just dies, doing a half-assed Blink build. And we're all tied up. Well, alright. Jimmy! Well, yeah. Perfectly competent tank push from GuMiho, but once again, Zest kind of leading him by the nose throughout the game. And then falling on his face. Well, what will we see on... I have no idea what to expect, and I will continue. I think we'll just acknowledge. Until the end of time. Until the end of Zest playing. Probably in the next couple months, unfortunately. Hopefully he comes back in a couple of years, but we'll see. Every time Zest does something crazy, I'm going to say, oh my god, I'll stop trying to predict it. And then the next game, I will try to predict it again. And we'll go through the same thing every time. That's the only consistent build, is me saying, I could not have expected that. or some more articulate version. Well, whereas for GuMiho, so far, and especially in TVP, we haven't really seen too much innovation, and it's not just because he also retired. But there is a relatively narrow set of builds, it seems, right now. You have your Widow Mine openers, and then you have your defensive openers, which usually involve a Cyclone into tanks. As the options for aggression for the Protoss, it just feels, unless you go for a proxy, they have more cards to play. And that is both the big strength and weakness of Protoss, is you have a lot of variety, a lot of options in your builds. But if the Terran figures out which one you're going for too early, or they've already preemptively responded, well, your units just aren't that strong. Like, Blank Stalkers are great for poking and prodding and picking off units across the map, but with 3 tanks up in your grill, well, you're the one who's getting roasted. I love that people have been doing this, and I'm excited. TLMC, Team Liquid Map Contest 16, is happening. Well, if you're watching this, probably right now. Jimmy, what do you mean daytime is screwing up the camera? No, that's no excuse. That's no excuse. We're going to the cave. Okay, after this, back to the cave. Oh my, wait, why is there a Stalker? He chrono boosted a Stalker so fast. GuMiho's response is just to bring so many SCVs down he can't kill them all. Which doesn't seem like the most particularly efficient method, but because Zest got a Stalker there so quick, he was not able to respond, which, yeah, that, not something that usually happens, but here we are. Anyways, mineral walls. My original point, mineral walls. It is an interesting part, and Brood War was a big part of the game as well. It's just areas that, unlike rocks or in general, units can't pass. Only the lowly worker can mine through the little mineral walls. We see that utilized a lot in Team Liquid Map Contest 16. I'm interested, and hopefully some of those maps can make it to the ladder, because I think mineral walls are a pretty cool dynamic in a lot of different ways that is a little less ham-fisted, a little more subtle than a big set of rocks. So, but maybe I'll have some videos and stuff on that as well, because some of the maps are amazing. Players and editors and all that have gotten very good. All right, GuMiho, what do we got? A starport. Oh, sit down over there. Do we have another Rags for the tech lab? That SCV just walks right by. I don't think it's going to be a starport. Oh, okay, so he's making... There's a lot of different varieties here. Terran build order's pretty technical, as many of you know. But it looks like the factory is actually making the reactor for the starport, and then he'll be making tanks with the tech lab. So this is a bit of a tank push, but just focusing on getting medevacs out early is GuMiho. A bit of a different variety. Meanwhile, Zest, he got an Oracle. Has anything died? A Marine and an SCV died to the Oracle while I was busy contemplating build orders. So that has been the... actually, that might have been to the Stalker, now that I think about it. Yeah, the Oracle has no kills. Zest has taken a third. GuMiho pulls back his Marine. I'm pretty sure it went into vision for a split second, and Zest is looking to deny that again. 2 medevacs and a tank. With combat shield coming up and +1 attack as well, GuMiho, I think, likely moving out with these medevacs, trying to get... Well, he's probably not going to be moving out if there are 20 Blink Stalkers in his base. Oh, the Revelation and the Blink. He gets a Cyclone, blocks on top, dodges one shot, the other not quick enough. Marines will stim. But the Stalkers will blink out, and overall, Zest with the decisive blunk. It looks like another Oracle came in and got knocked down immediately. No, I take it back. Those were Adepts. That's why. That's why some things are half dead to tank fire there. GuMiho sends out a medevac of Marines. Zest only lost 2 Stalkers in that engage. Looking towards the front, there's actually not a bunker here, which makes this a relatively soft target. Goes for 1 SCV, blunks back. 5 more gateways on the way to complement the charge being upgraded. That'll bring him to 9 gates. GuMiho with only 43 workers throughout this. Zest picking off what he can. Revelation giving him constant vision. Small drop here, and Zest has very little to defend. He doesn't even have a recall at the natural for a couple seconds, and that means a lot of probes. Recalls now to the 3rd, but he's so far off. 10 probes down. I mean, that's about as good as it's gonna get there. Drops back out, gets snapped up. A clean defense up, but at the same time, the sentries, there was still a tiny bit of space here. And Zest actually locks himself out of chasing. The Oracle, Zest scrambling on both sides. He still doesn't have a robo. He's just building in typical Zest manner. He's just not bothering with a robotics facility, but instead proxying gateways. Looks like he's going to do it on either side. He's actually bringing the charge lot. He blunks over the top. Not the cleanest engagement angle here, as there are more tanks. Charge is done. A bit of an off-tempo timing here, but at the end of the day, it looks like almost gets the medevac as well. He will clean it up, but at what cost? If he got that medevac, I'd actually call that a win for Zest. But overall, GuMiho does have a 3rd command center. He is walling off almost preemptively with the Rex. Zest is out for revenge. Though he has more bases, and the Sim City here from GuMiho is really solid. The charge lots, while they can get by, have to go single file where the Marines can gun them down. Speaking of Marines, well, it looks like Zest has hop, skipped, and blunk into a lead here. He doesn't overcommit to the natural. It was a risk. This medevac... He does not build robos, okay? Last game, he built a robo, and look what happened. 2 proxy gates. If he needs detection, he'll build another Oracle. The main base, Gateway Central. He's built 1, 2, 3, looking at 4 pylons, 5 pylons. No, 4 pylons on GuMiho's side of the map. And then he sees units taking out his proxy pylon, so he just... GuMiho has over half his supply on the map right now. The orbital command itself almost dies. There's not enough units over here. Oh, the blink. He gets 1 medevac. The charge lots close in for the rest of the units. You gotta get out of there. A warp-in will be gunned down as it starts. Zest just warping in off naked pylons here. Muggle pylons, as we call them. That we being me, mostly. The orbital will try to land again. Zest bullying GuMiho out of his own 3rd, and may actually just kill the 3rd. So he's finally finished the robo, and will build a 2nd one in a robotics bay, because he realizes the only risk here is not having splash damage as GuMiho gets a larger and larger mass of Marines and Marauders. Oh, that larger and larger mass. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, this is getting a little cost-effective, and by a little, I mean a bit ridiculous. Look at the supplies. Oh my god, that was so ridiculous. Jimmy decided we needed to watch it again. We'll talk about this later. Yes, instant replay. Before it, Zest of 10 army supply. Afterwards, though... Oh my. Zest is now down 25 army supply. He's actually down 40. He went down to 10. That was horrible. He had every opportunity to back off at the start, but he decided to try to make the best of it. Zest never half-asses anything, all right? 100% full, naturally grown, or organic free trade assing of things. Which includes losing all his units, unfortunately. So Zest has once again, through decisive action, taken a significant lead and cut it all the way down to potentially less than nothing. As he's only a handful of workers up, he's behind on upgrades against a Terran player. He hasn't even started 2-2, or any of the +2 upgrades. He lost his critical mass of gateway units. He's building Colossi now, but because he doesn't have that many units in front of them, 2 Colossi even, especially without extended thermal lance, are not going to be enough to deal with the +2, +1, half a dozen medevac bio. 2 Colossi, I don't think should intimidate GuMiho here. A Templar Archive's on the way, but GuMiho, a couple force fields, not enough. He just slips by. The Colossi are not making the difference right now. The Marauders standing tall. If the charge lots close in, the Widow Mines will knock them out. Yeah, oh, speaking of... Oh, that's a lot of charge lots, but the Widow Mines doing their job. The Colossi is stepping forward. Where is the detection? I feel like one of these units is going to be sacrificed. Oh, the Observer comes back. Sacrifice me. Yep, here we are. Oh, you're the chosen one. He blinks another Stalker in. He gets all the mines. Who needs Aroma? Building more obs, though. So Zest does hold. The Colossi, with the charge lots coming in from stage left, or however you say stage whatever. From the left side, the charge lots came in to save the day yet again. But GuMiho does maintain a solid economy. He's got way better upgrades now. +2/+2 against 1/1. He's getting 3/3, though Zest is matching it. He's finally got +2 started. Observer speed on the way. Thermal Lance has done 4 Coloxin on the field. But Zest only has 3 bases. He finally feels confident enough to move out. The proxy pylons have been eliminated. Zest right now, he's recovering. He's got his Templar archives, though I don't know if he's remembered about it. He's got a warp prison. He's building a couple observers at a time. He's reaching out and grabbing that 4. Plus 2 ground weapons. Nearly completed. Is that observer in the scan? Not quite. Observers all over the place now. Disruptors on the way. A single mine kind of gives away this obs here and gives a little bit of time for the medevacs to get away. Only one will be snapped up. This is not ideal. This is about... No, that... I imagine it flew over something at some time. Maybe a Widow Mine even. Speaking of... Oh, he sees that one. A bio army. The observers are pretty deep. It's actually kind of hard to tell for GuMiho because they're like a third of the way across the map. So get all the info, but just far enough out it's not easily scanned. The force field. He's looking for anything, but the observer is actually a little further north here. I love the placement. Gets one. Force fields catch a Marauder between a rock and a hard place. GuMiho supplies dead even here. +3 infantry weapons closing in. Very key, no ghosts so far. A lot of Vikings, though, and most of the splash damage is in the form of those Colossi, and that's why Zest adding in the Disruptors. But a couple tanks gonna help out. Well, Vikings, charge lots once again, looking for a repeat performance. It's a 2-upgrade advantage for GuMiho. He's got a great position for his Vikings. The Disruptor targeted at the last second. He needed that shot. The medevacs doing their job so well. The Colossi getting knocked down. The Marauders almost the only thing to survive. 1 Colossus left. He almost gets it, knocks it over. 116 to 90 supply. Vikings on deck. Charge lots warped in. It's just gateway units. Units on both sides being whittled down. Medevacs nearly out of energy. Another warp in. Templar. 3 Templar. Maybe looking for feedback and then Archons, but starts the Archon. Zest holds. But at what cost? He lost every key unit. He lost every Disruptor and Colossus. He lost essentially everything. He recalls probes from his main. He really needs mining. GuMiho, on the other hand, is comfortably at his 4th with his main command center, might I add. Zest just did the Protoss equivalent of floating your main command center, though I doubt GuMiho realizes recall is now on cooldown. There's no way to tell unless you actually see it. A handful of zealots coming across, but the supply tells the real story here. If you look at it, you'll find that Zest is now struggling. 143 to under 100 supply. What does the income look like? GuMiho edging out a lead. And his units, it's not nearly as important for Terran to maintain a few key units. Both their weakness and their strength is how each individual unit doesn't matter nearly as much as something like a Colossus and a Disruptor. So if you trade 30 supply of bio units for 30 supply of power units, you're coming out ahead. And that is why GuMiho has built up this lead over time. 3 medevacs for a handful of units. Zest on a move command, but the charge lots will force the pickup. Archon spotted moving. You can't defend with just 4 disruptors. And he's like 3 sentries, though. That'll do it. No, it's a lot of abilities that need to be used very quickly and effectively. Ghosts are finally on the way for GuMiho. The last piece of the puzzle to solve the quandary that is Protoss. Zest has held. But remember, all of this happened because Zest decided to try to fight better upgraded bio with an even supply of Stalker charge lot. If Zest had just maintained his map control and worked on building up that splash damage, this game may have already ended in his favor, but a master of making things interesting, Zest has continued to battle it out. Oh no, the 4th. His army is in the worst possible spot right now. He doesn't have recall, if you remember. GuMiho to the north, GuMiho to the south, and Zest, nowhere to be seen, comes in to save the corpse of the 4th. But without the mining, his infrastructure, 1 nexus down, 2 nexus down. GuMiho backs off with the rest. Some charge lots warped into the main. 17 SCVs, check and mate. GuMiho, without fighting a battle, at least decisively wins the war. And there you go. Suddenly, just like that. Just like that. GuMiho's on match point. A solid play, like, spend 80% of the time talking about Zest, and GuMiho just comes in with the victory. Thing is, that wasn't flashy. It wasn't particularly innovative, but some solid Terran play out of GuMiho. Even if he was mostly stuck to those bio units. And that puts him up 2-1 against Zest, who keeps trying to fit square pegs and non-existent holes healed by medevacs. So, here we are, 2-1. Jimmy. Game 4 is on Blackburn, the most spicy of maps in most map pools. And by that I mean any map where your main base is the closest one to your opponent usually ends up in some extra shenanigans, whether it's things like Void Rays or medevacs or just slicing the map in half. Between that and the... Oh, no. No. Uh-oh. There's a gold base. He's looking for proxy racks now. Zest and gold bases have quite a mixed relationship, as they are some of the most interesting but also risky strategies, because unlike in years past, taking bases with extra resources or something like that comes at a price. This gold base, vulnerable in many different ways, besides being far from your main, the mineral line, potentially vulnerable to things like tanks and liberators or blink stalkers easily. Zest has been known. Pride of Altaris also has a very forward and exposed gold base, but that hasn't stopped Zest in the past, so. But it does look like he's sticking more to the playbook on this one. I would not be in the least bit surprised to see a Stargate. So that means probably a Robo then, eh? I think, once again, just in case he just watched my newest, or not newest, but the recent Angry Coach, I'm sure. Zest wanted to make sure that Stalkers are still not very good against a heavy Marine Marauder composition healed by Medivacs. Stalkers still not very cost-effective in a straight-up fight, but instead much better at being cost-effective in unfair ones, where you're blinking across the map and all that. So, thank you to Zest for confirming once again that Stalker Charge Lot is not nearly as good as, splash damage. Shout out to him for providing that professional evidence. 3 racks build out of GuMiho. Stargate in a semi-hidden location for Zest. I think, well, we haven't seen a single Reaper. Reapers have kind of they're out of style at the moment. Occasionally you'll see a delayed Reaper. Even Zest not walling off the Reaper jump location. And this is actually a marked this is a change from the Zest we've seen somewhat recently, which is religiously walling off the Reaper jump location. The employee entrance there. In this case, it's in the back. Even on this map. So, for one, Zest actually focusing on the wall at the front. Or anywhere else. Oh. He actually shades through the Adept and gets the fresh mule. Oh my. Almost gets an SCV. That's a lot of minerals that will not be... I mean, they'll eventually be mined, but the rate at which they are severely reduced. Then the Oracle just kind of comes into the main. We'll see that this is 3 racks. Incredibly important. Honestly, more valuable than the damage the Oracle will do, but the damage itself also not insubstantial. Another Adept in the natural. Softening up the mineral line. Oracle out of energy. That Marine should count his lucky Stargates. Zest sees a 3 racks timing. This means aggression. This means that GuMiho's coming across the map. And this means that Zest, of course, will take a 3rd. He's confident that with 1 gate of each flavor and 2 more on the way, he can hold this. The thing is, if you want to take a 3rd, you got to do it as quick as possible. Because the earlier you take it, the more likely it is to be finished by the time an attack comes. So even though it does seem a little counterintuitive, the speed at which Zest takes his 3rd base unlocks both Chrono Boost and Overcharge. Zest is not one known to overmake probes either. So he's actually making the calculation that a 3rd base will contribute more to the defense than it will create vulnerabilities. And he's usually right. Triple Oracle goes for the mineral line, important to note. He does force a stim out of units that will not be healed for quite a while, if at all. In that stim right there, I think he just stopped the attack before it started. That stim means GuMiho can't come across the map. He risks Blink Stalkers, he risks the Oracles themselves fighting. He cannot heal those Marines. Not until the Medivacs are done in a minute and a half. So, Zest completely and utterly confident that he's safe at the moment. In worst case scenario, he can build some stasis. He can Chrono Boost out his Blink and +1. Another clutch of Marines heading out. I think he spots him. And with 3 Oracles. Who builds 3 Oracles against Terran? Really working him. Revelation. Proxy Pylon on the other side of the gold minerals. I think he built it so far back so that way if GuMiho takes the base, he won't necessarily see the pylon as well. He can still warp in to delay the base right on the edge of the minerals there. It's just 5 sentries and 2 stalkers. GuMiho coming in. I mean, and a cannon. And a shield battery. And all the stalkers in the main. The forces are mustering. Medevacs just finished with what few Marines there were. He picks up. It looks like he's just going to go straight to the main, where there's a handful of stalkers. Will Zest reaction? He doesn't have blink done. Very important. 15 seconds. A stim in towards the third as well. The oracles. GuMiho slipping a bit on the Marine micro, not focusing. He gets all 3 oracles, but he gets driven back at the third. The medevac itself and the blink stalkers proving their effectiveness. Zest bleeds a bit. He loses the oracles, which are probably the most valuable targets here. But the problem is, now GuMiho does not have that critical mass of bio. Now the stalkers are bearing down on his base, and now he has to defend. The Marines had to walk back, and it's a treacherous path. The others are running. There is no safety. Only time. So, GuMiho. He ends up down not much army supply, but he's only got 1 medevac here. Couple more pop out. Not that much more bio to complement. Suddenly, so many stalkers. They do have +1 done as well. A little bit of additional damage to help punch through those medevacs. Bit late on the force fields there. The scan. He spots the army. A couple Whittle mines will have to be blunked out of. Oh, he unburrows. Nice moves by GuMiho. Gonna delay the attack by a little bit longer. And every second counts as he builds more and more. Charge is on the way. He's gonna try to draw in the Whittle mine hits with the Phoenix. Once again, unburrows in time. The Whittle mine mole man strategies. Really? Mole man? I don't know. That's what I went with. Whack-a-mole? Ah, yes, that was what I was trying to make a joke out of. I now know. Poorly. Moving on. Zest takes the gold in a more standardized fashion. GuMiho manages to get his 4th. And we will move on. Zest not able to lay down the killing blow and did not commit to a incredibly inefficient fight, but instead sits back with most of his stalkers intact and builds up towards double Robo Colossus. He warps in Zealots over the top of the gold base. GuMiho already looked around, and he was looking for proxy pylons, but who expects this? I mean, it's a relatively common spot, but still. And that means 3 Zealots will come in, delay mining, but the Marauders, the mineral line is just far enough away. The Marauders getting a pretty great concave. Zest canceling is for quitters. Oh, and he doesn't quit. If 3 Zealots don't succeed, warp in 10 more, which, yeah, that's now pretty... It's working. Stop position on the SCVs to try to force the Zealots to close the distance. Still doing a lot of damage. 14 SCVs killed. And now slicing through some of the bio. 15 SCVs, but with Zest being delayed on his 4th Nexus, I would call this overall about an even trade. And the supply reflects it as well. 2 observers next to each other. Quite a rivalry here. Really notice the second one? Well, GuMiho distracted a little by the observers. He spots the... This time he'll fire over his own mineral line to kill the proxy pylon. A handful more Zealots coming in. Intercept Whittle mines, which is a pretty valuable pickup. And in the natural, more SCV is going to be sliced and diced. He's going to recall 5 Zealots? Okay. Wow. A surprising amount of... Those were some very politically advantageous Zealots. Oh, what are you doing? Are you insane? He's picked up in the Bubula. Oh my god. What a risk over there. Oh, that is not where you want to have training exercises. That was almost the most complete disaster that GuMiho could have created. Every one of the medevacs full of units in the Bubula. Oh my god. Zest almost gets it, but instead, Just the massive Blink Stalkers. Another... How many observers? Only 2 have died. Feels like a lot more. But an attack towards the north. Once again, looking over the top of the gold. Will he have enough time to take it out? There are shield batteries to give it a little more time on the clock as well. Double Colossus. Extended Thermal Lance complete. The Marauder's going to work. Where's that shield battery overcharge? Where is it? Where is it? He loses another base. Okay, well that feels a little unnecessary. Meanwhile, though, another bio army intercepted by the defending forces. The army forced into the corner. He might be able to pick up an Archon. There are no Stalkers to blink it down. Meanwhile, on the other side, there are plenty of Stalkers. This is where they all went. Where are the Vikings? How many Vikings? 0. So that's not very many. GuMiho agrees. A couple in the production tab. A handful of Ghosts as well. Ghosts always good. You know what? That's one way to get rid of mines. He's trying to flank GuMiho's army, though it's not exactly clear who's flanking who here. Zest coming around with the reinforcements, but he loses 1 Colossus. He loses 2. The Blink Stalker's chasing it down, but the Bio Army gets another base, it looks like. So, Zest... there are a few medevacs to the north as well. He almost chases them down. There are medevacs on both corners of the map. A planetary... GuMiho loses 2 more medevacs. He's got a lot of money in the bank, so quite a stressful situation here, obviously. He needs to spend that money, and if he does, he should have enough to match Zest on the field. Zest, another warp in? Well, he's trying to take his 4th. He's quickly going to be mining out here. Now, GuMiho was delayed a moment, but without the 4th Nexus, the main base is drying up, the natural as well. GuMiho has already used mules. And the downside of mules, of course, is they don't create more minerals, they just extract them more quickly. Zest is kind of winding up for a big attack as well, though 2 Marines and, well, this one drop has still done so much damage. A huge attack here. There's just not that much army supply for GuMiho. A couple Vikings, not really finding the targets, hitting observers here, which is usually nice, but he needs to deal with the Colossi. 13 SCVs down. The northern front is entirely SCVs, and they're slaughtered by Zealots and Colossi. Another command center canceled, returning some of his own medicine. The army not huge here for Zest. GuMiho is... Okay, there are two warp prisms. GuMiho is trying to decide whether he should stay or should he go. Because if he stays, he's in a lot of trouble, but on the other side, if he goes, it's probably at least twice as much. Recall still on the table. Zest just kind of annexed the 3rd there. It looks like a couple Archons may pay the price. Jimmy! Well, we haven't yet outroed this match. Yes, it looks bad for GuMiho, but the Colossi being juggled, enough charge lots warped in. The Vikings not doing enough damage. And Zest will take game 4 and bring us to match points. And that means it's time for a quick advertisement. We need to thank our sponsors for this match. I'll be right back with Match Point. Hey everyone, I want to thank you. I want to thank our sponsors. I may have spoiled it. You, for watching this match. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe so that way maybe 2 or 3 more people can find this amazing game. If you enjoy these matches, make sure to leave a comment. If you don't enjoy these matches, why are you this far into the video? Either way, thank you for watching, and I hope you continue to watch because you, my friend, make this happen. Good luck, have fun, and I'll see you in the next match. Welcome back, we're in Game 5. Match point between GuMiho and Zest. I think, once again, it has been Zest taking the lead in this dance and almost forgetting that he has a partner. Zest does not seem like much of a co-op player in any fashion. One of my favorite... There were many... Almost every Zest quote is incredible. But I want to paint you a picture, as it looks like no proxies to start. In the recent GSL Super Tournament... Now, usually, watching the interviews with Caster Park is fun, but you can probably skip over them as you know what they're going to say. But with Zest, the finals against Dark, this is after he... For context, Zest, before the Super Tournament, he beat Rogue the week before in the DreamHack Last Chance. Or I believe it was that. Yeah, he beat Rogue, who was considered probably the best Zerg in Korea, and is. And then he beat Maru just an hour before. Maru considered possibly just the best player. Anyway. So he's up against Dark in the finals, and Caster Park asks, how do you think about your chances? And Zest responds, well, I think the top 3 players right now are Rogue, Maru, and Dark. And that was it. That was all at least the translator said the response was. Just think about that for a second. And then, of course, after he won the finals, Zest, when asked, like, what he's going to do differently going into IM Katowice, he responded with, now, a lot of my friends know I'm a big fan of drinking. But we didn't stop there. But he does say he's going to stop drinking as much and really focus on his play for IM. To which I say, why? I don't know. But I'm looking forward to what that looks like. Well, for the first time in a long time, Zest didn't wall off... Well, before this series, Zest didn't wall off the Reaper jump location. And that means GuMiho gets in with the Reaper and kills 2 going on 3 probes. Wow. And that is why, historically, players have walled that off or built a shield battery in the main. 2 probes to a Reaper. Well, part of it is that Zest sent his Stalker across the map. He sent his first unit, which does leave you quite vulnerable to someone who does the same thing. GuMiho actually built his command center in his main, which was spotted by the Stalker. But just trying to essentially stop exactly what Zest did from happening. So far, GuMiho off to a very strong start. And by very strong, I mean he didn't get his command center delayed, and he killed any probes with the Reaper, and he didn't get a full scout, but the Stargate is not going to be surprising. The fact it wasn't Adept defending is also a little bit of a tell, even though he did make a Stalker first. Also, there's a Reaper, and he can continue to come in again. It's Widow Mines, by the way. GuMiho hedging his bets here with the mines. He's got a medevac on the way to slurp them up. And Widow Mines, of course, quite a game changer, one way or another. These Widow Mines either could put GuMiho in an incredible lead, or they could get shut down and leave him without map control. Of course, sometimes it's a bit of a middle ground. You kill 5 or 6 probes, but lose the medevac in the mines. We'll have to see which flavor it is. He can only pick up 1. He gets 1. The other? 4 probes. And he hasn't actually... Does he have enough to kill the mine? Yes. Okay. 6 probes. There was a Reaper in the main. 6 probes down. And now Zest. He does have a third Nexus on the way. But Oh, and he knows where they came from. He will hunt that medevac across the map. He runs the risk of running into another mine or some Marines. Wow, the Oracle actually took a lot of damage, and that had to be from Marines because mines would have one-shot it. Unless it was nearby or something. GuMiho coming out. Oh, I get this map confused for Hardwire so much. But, very similar layout and, not layout, but just look to it. But another, not half-hearted, but early tank push. Well before Stim. A single tank, the centerpiece of all this. Good force field. Without the medevac, this is quite a fragile push here. The Oracle comes in, gets 2 SCVs, the rest are pulled away quickly. Interesting that a force field doesn't block the ramp, just chokes it off so much. Oh god, the Oracle so close to flying over the Marine. Just sieges up the tank to make sure that units can't pick him off retreating. Also, of course, with the revelation, Zest knows exactly where he is. Interesting, he's skipped the blink and gone straight for charge in this final match. Oh, the Widowmines? He gets 1, gets 2. Huge pickoffs here for Zest. Widowmines a major danger. Oh, more mines. He gets another one, and a Marine as well. A Widowmine dropped towards the main. An armory is about to complete. It's not quite done yet. 1 Widowmine in the main. Another one trying to get the reinforcing probe. Zest splits 1 off. The armory is done now, though. He pulls the Select All Army! Not like this! GuMiho drags the army to the main and slams the 3rd. And the 3rd base is gone. Just completely underhand, well, not underhanded, but he just drags him out of position. Zest falls for one of the oldest tricks in the book. There was no reason he needed his entire army in the main. That was just a lazy move out of Zest, and GuMiho takes full advantage of it. Well played on that. Now, Zest decided to YOLO across the map here. He's got charge lots and non-blink stalkers. There, he has no detection. Phoenixes are not going to deal with this. There's just... that's not very many units. There are 3 Archons coming in to try to save the day. These are non-combat shield. Yeah, he doesn't have combat shield, which is a little awkward. But the Archons themselves are not quite enough. Is recalling to the natural on top of the army. Will get it, loses the natural, which actually opens up some space. So Zest loses 2 out of 3 bases. And most of his probes. So that was horrible. GuMiho has, besides the lack of combat shield, all but cut down any opportunity. Oh no. Wow. And almost a rage quit against the Widowmine. GuMiho takes it 3-2. Zest with such a volatile style. And I feel like GuMiho really found his footing. Even though he lost on Blackburn, he kind of did what most players who succeed against Zest learn to do, which is let him get himself killed. Okay? Like, give him the opportunity to fall on your sword. Because he doesn't like to sit still. He doesn't like to sit back. He likes to get up in your grill and pretend it's his. So GuMiho did a very good job in that last match of exploiting it. A great 1-2 punch. And GuMiho, based on attribution or some other mathematical property I'm making up, now the best player in the world? Maybe not quite yet, but getting there. And I love to see it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe. Thank you to AlphaX for putting on these matches. As always, check out all the videos, or some of the videos. There's a lot of videos. Just a few of them. You know what? How about one more? We'll start with one. We'll work our way up from there. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.